So, like I was saying, when you try to just trust yourself and often it doesn't stick, you find yourself going back and forth, regressing. Understand that this isn't about techniques. All right. It's about unearthing and clearing away the old beliefs that convinced you self doubt was safer than showing up as who you truly are. Again, if you're enjoying this live or even on the replay, please like and subscribe and comment. When you do, that helps the channel to grow and more people can begin changing their lives as well by connecting to this message. So I appreciate you in advance for doing that. So here's what's actually happening. Here's what's actually happened to your self trust and why every confidence tip didn't work as well. And maybe again, it didn't last. And you went back to not trusting yourself again. Self trust was supposed to grow through what psychologists and therapists called co regulation. Okay. And that's just a fancy term that says having someone alongside you who helped you make sense of your feelings in real time. This is why being in community is such a powerful way to heal because you get to experience that co regulation in the moment. So, when you were a little kid and you felt scared, excited, angry, or sad, you needed an adult to say, I see that you're upset. That makes sense. And so that response taught you that your feelings mattered. You felt seen. And a lot of my conversations with clients is that they didn't feel seen growing up. And that's a lot of our stories in different ways. We just didn't feel seen. And so that self trust hasn't been built. So what we heard instead, many of us, was like, listen, you're fine, or even stop crying or stop being so upset, don't be so dramatic, right? Or some of us got complete silence when we needed someone to acknowledge us, right? To really see us in that moment. And not getting that really created a marker for us, like a scar that traveled with us through time. And so there are four core shutdowns your nervous system learned, which you'll see the connection in a bit. I'm getting too far ahead of myself. But the first core shutdown, the dismisser, again, you're overreacting. Maybe you had somebody in your family that literally consistently dismissed your emotions. And then you had the corrector, that's number two. Someone that says, that's not how it happened. Although you know that's how it happened, right? Your experience tells you that's how it happened. And somebody kept telling you, no, that's not exactly it. So you started to doubt your senses, right? Oh, maybe they're right. And then number three, we have the mood manager who would tell you, don't upset everyone. So you had someone telling you regularly not to cause a rift, which probably showed you that confrontation wasn't safe. So that meant that you couldn't have clarity. You couldn't have the conversations that you needed to have because you just didn't want to upset anybody. You don't want to be a burden. I hear that often from a lot of my clients. They don't want to be a burden with their needs, right? And then the last one, number four, the achievement trap. Nice work, but you could do better, right? If you experience any of these, then part of you shut down just a little bit. And whether you recognize one or all of these, the message was very clear that your feelings can't be trusted. But not only that, they can't be safely held in the container in the space, right? And so it became hard for you to trust yourself and trust others. And here's the wild part, listen to this very closely. You still attract people who replay those same messages, partners who downplay you, friends who question you, and maybe even work situations where your needs got ignored. So, your life right now could be, if this message is resonating, your life right now is proof that childhood script is still active. It's still showing up in your life. Speaking up continues to feel unsafe. So, you stop trusting yourself and you replayed those childhood dynamics over and over again. No wonder, right? You stopped trusting yourself because those same scripts are still in your present day. So if part of you still hesitates to speak up or name what you needed, It makes sense. It totally makes sense. And so that hesitation didn't come out of nowhere. It was learned over time to keep you connected, to keep you safe. Okay. That's all the body's doing to keep you safe. But understanding that is only one part of the work, right? Just understanding it and having that insight is only one part of the work. The deeper shift begins when you start offering the part of you a new kind of evidence through lived, repeatable experiences. This means that focusing on what you consistently do when those signals show up, because they show up and we often ignore them, we distract ourselves, all those things. So let's begin there. Okay, with one daily act that starts to reintroduce your system to something it might not have experienced in a very long time, the safety of expressing your truth in real time. Let me know if this is making sense. Let me know. So here's the shift that matters the most. Your self-doubt, ooh, your self-doubt isn't a problem. It's useful information, it's data that can powerfully redirect us, right? It's the strategy your nervous system chose to protect the relationships it thought it couldn't survive losing. So every time you feel that familiar pull to retract, whether it's hesitating before speaking, changing your mind after again setting that boundary, or softening your tone to avoid discomfort, there's also a quiet part of you asking, if I really show up here, will I be accepted? And maybe you don't even notice it anymore because it's so blended into your life, right? You say, I don't care because it just feels easier. Maybe you choose what's convenient, not what's true. You shrink it just enough to stay agreeable. And for a moment, things feel smoother on the outside while something slowly disappears on the inside. And if this connect if and if this is connecting If this is connecting with you, let me know by typing a 1 in the comments. And if you're watching on the replay, type 2. And that lets me know. All right. And so if you're sitting with all of this and thinking, okay, I get it, but how do I actually shift this pattern? Don't worry. I got you. I got you. And that's exactly what I'm going to guide you through in my free mini course. It's for people who feel ready to stop disconnecting from themselves, but still want to stay rooted in relationships with integrity as they do it. So, links in the description. But I'm going to share with you something right now that you can do. Here's what I want to invite you into. Once a day, no pressure. You don't have to do it every day, but find a rhythm that works for you. But once a day, just once, name your true preference out loud. Not to make a scene or anything like that, not to achieve anything, but simply to stay connected with yourself. And it could be so incredibly small that you're going to think like, oh, wow, this doesn't even matter, right? So, for example, it could be saying what you actually want for dinner. Maybe choosing a shirt or an outfit that makes you feel most like you. Maybe saying, actually, that doesn't work for me, and letting that be enough. So, the action itself isn't the breakthrough. What changes everything is that in the moment, your body stays present instead of bracing or retracting or shrinking. And you don't disappear just to make the moment easier for someone else. That is the breakthrough. And so when you practice this in real time, your nervous system begins to update its map of what's safe. The part of you that learned it was safer to disconnect from your own signals, to smile, to agree or stay quiet, just to stay connected, now gets to witness that honesty doesn't have to mean lost. Okay. And so your body begins to reconnect with the idea that I can stay with myself and still stay in connection. And that's how self trust is built over time, not through force or any sort of performance, but through repeated embodied proof that your presence doesn't threaten love or connection, it actually invites it.